This is our 11 foot by 20 foot wide tunnel. We actually do it in meters, so it's 3.35 meters by 6 meters long, and the hoops are at 2 meter intervals. Now you dig the trench the same size as the tunnel, so from the inside of the trench on one side to the inside of the trench on the other side will be 3 meters 350 or 11 feet. The reason for this is that it has completely straight sides, so the polythene must come out of the ground and it must run straight up the side of the straight bar, otherwise it will flap in the wind, you know. Now if you put in your ground pegs and they seem a bit loose, don't worry about that. It's the weight of the soil that makes this structure strong. Now what you do is you pull a line, you put in your 4 corner pegs and you pull a line, and you come down about 10 mil or half an inch from the top of the 2 corner pegs, and you pull a line tight, and then you drive your 2 inside pegs, or however many inside pegs there are, you drive that down to the same distance, so that it's just the same distance above the line. Say it's there, it's about half an inch. You can see it here. Now if you're putting the polytunnel on a slope, there's absolutely no problem if you put the polytunnel going with the slope. So because you're driving the 4 corner pegs, and then as you drive the middle pegs, it'll go with the slope, there's no problem. If the slope is going across the polytunnel, it's a bit more difficult. You could probably get away with about 6 inches. So maybe on the higher side you could drive your ground peg into the ground maybe 2 inches extra above ground level, and on the other side you could keep them up a couple of inches. You could just pull a line across then, and just so you have it somewhat level. It doesn't have to be exact. The other thing to remember here now is that when you're driving your ground pegs, there's a welded nut. That nut is ground level, do you know? Now if the ground is undulating, it may in some cases go, the middle ones may go an inch or 2 into the ground, or be an inch or 2 above the ground. Don't worry about that. Set your corner ones to ground level and then pull the line, and wherever the middle ones end up, that'll be fine. Now the next step is just to stand up your hoops, and you just put on the crosses. Then I have the first cross on there. I'll just show you that there now. Now for the crosses, you just put them in one side and just get them into the other one then, and then normally just pull them down, and it slides in quite easy. They can still move, but they're quite tight. Now I have all the crosses in. The next part is to put in the ridge bars. They're 1.97 meters long, and they just go from cross to cross. This is a 6 meter tunnel, so we'll have 3 on this. They just slip in quite easily. Just put them in one side and then into the other. If you find that they're slipping out, just put a bit of tape to hold them temporarily, or you could also put a self-tapping screw underneath, but a bit of tape will do fine. Normally they just hold in position anyway. They're normally going quite easily. If they don't go in, it's normally because they're not aligned, so it's more a case of pulling this left or right to get it in, than of trying to force it into the hole. It should go into the hole easy enough. That's it now. Now we have the ridge bars in. It's just important that they're just pushed in completely onto the cross. Now our next bars are the prop bars. They'll go from the bottom of the second hoop to the top of the first hoop at about shoulder height on the 4 corners. Now the prop bars are put in like this. There's 2 clips up here, and there's a nut and a bolt, and there's a larger nut in here. that stops you from over tightening. The same on the bottom. This is at the bottom of the second bar, so it's going up from there to the top of the first bar. Now when you have these secured, you just put in the self-tapping screw. You can see it here. I'll show you how to do that there now in a second. Now I'll just show you how to put on these clips. Wherever the clip is going, you just have to see which side, the long side of the nut needs to be on, not to damage the polythene. The long side of the nut must come into the tunnel, you know. So you just push him on, give him a bit of a squeeze back into place, and then you just position him like this. Don't put the two of them inside like that. Just position one inside the other like that. So, and then you just put him through. Put on your small nut. It's the same with you. And then he goes up here then, and your bar goes in, and then down here then your bar goes in here. It's very simple. It's the same two clips that do the job, and just remember the long side of your nut stays in here. Now I'll just show you how to tighten when you have them on. Then you get your self-tapping tappers. So that's called a self-tapping screw. If you haven't seen it before, it's designed to go straight through steel. And it'll go on the end, it'll actually normally fit on the end of a drill bit. I have a special fitting for it here, and you just takes a bit of pressure. And that's it, then that's secure. If they weren't in it, it probably would be okay as well, but they're just an extra precaution. Bars level. The second one in is not as important. Just push it till it's fairly good. And then the same with this one. As you're putting on the bar, when you're tightening it, make sure that it's absolutely level, well near enough, especially on the end ones. The second one in is not as important. This one should be pretty good. You can see them there now. And that way you know both ends of your tunnel are completely straight and level. If you're doing a tunnel on a slope, keep your bars level. Don't go with the slope, you know. Yeah. Now you can see here that the 4 prop bars are on. One thing you should note is that the prop bars that are going onto the second bar in, the lower ones, as you can see here, these should be as close to the ground as possible. The higher you put them up the bar, the more leverage the wind has, you know, so just keep them right down. The whole point is to transfer the force from the front of the tunnel down to the ground, you know, so the nearer the ground the better. The other thing to note is that when you put in these self-tapping screws, keep them all on the inside. Do you know? That way, if they're on the outside, they might damage the polythene. So, very easy. Now we have our own way of doing the doors, and what it means is that none of the posts are in the ground, so they can't rot. So what you do is you put down your base, which comes with the kit, and you mark where the centre. So you put it halfway. So you actually mark. That's actually, I had a mark there, so that's the centre of the tunnel. That mark then is the centre of the base. It's about 607 mil. And then I have a line up here on the outside of the bar here, to the outside of the bar here, and this goes with the outside of that, then outside of the line. It doesn't have to be exactly right, like, but close enough. And then what you do is you drill 12 mil holes in these. So you drill one hole there, you drill another hole there, and you just drive the rebar down. Now before you do any of that, kind of level your ground a little bit. You have to have plastic under it to protect it, you know, so it doesn't rot. So you can cut a little bit of that off of the plastic that comes with the tunnel. You can cut 6 centimeters off the ground. Sorry, 6 inches. And so then you hit down your steel rebar. This comes with it. Everything you see is with the tunnel now. And then you drive this one down, you level them, and then you move on here then. So you can see the next section here then is just the next step here. I just had him to mark the centre of the tunnel. That's the centre of the bar again. Now what you do here then is you just get your timber. It goes on the outside here, in the corner, outside here in the corner, and then you put a level on him. You offer him up and then you mark him just under the bar. You do a mark across. Now, this is one here now that I've done, and then you put on a piece of galva band. He goes up there to the outside of this here. Put the galva band down, 3 screws in it. You can see I've done that here now. And then what you do then, I'm just leaving these a little bit proud here so you can see them. That's a 100mm screw gone in there, a 100mm screw gone in there, a 100mm screw gone in here at the back. They're to be driven in. I just left them out just to show you. So that's to set it to the base. And then you put the level on it again, get it exactly level. You see the self-tapping screw there, you just put that in. So you just continue to do the 4 of them like that, and then you do the head. Now, a good idea when you're doing this is when you're putting this into place, you put this one in on your level, set him up there, put in your self-tapper so that he's level. And then just put in your head there, you know, so it's exactly the same. Just bring this up against it, screw him into place, level him, put the galva band on, but don't put on the self-tapper yet because you might not have it exactly right. So what you do then is you just bring this up here. Now, there's a self-tapper on this one here, so this one can't move. So I screw him in, and then I put a level on that, and then when he's level I screw him into this one. And then these screws they're kind of keeping in the general area. I just take them out and drive them in from the top. So I'll just show you down here now. This is one that's done here. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 screws. I just left him proud so you can see he's to go in there. There's a self-tapper already in there, and then the one that doesn't have a self-tapper, I put him in there then as well. So, and that's your door set. Now this one I only kept up 20mm because it's kind of level ground behind it, you know. So thing to consider maybe if you're going up a hill, you might have to keep your door frame up a bit, you know, just so it won't hit the earth as you open. And just keep in mind as well that the grass grows as well. It's not always a good idea to keep the doors really close, you know. Like there's about a 15mm gap here now. Some people think that they should have the tunnels airtight, but you need air coming through all the time because otherwise you're just going to get molds and stuff, you know. So, and then the doors then are softwood as well, so there's going to be a bit of movement or whatever, but 15mm will give you loads. Like. And when you're putting your door on, keep your door up, just keep it down 5mm from the top there. That should be grand. Now when you put in your door frames here, when you're doing your polythene, you want the polythene to come straight out of the ground. So bring the trench just past your door frame, even 1 inch past. You can see here I've gone a couple of inches past. Just so your polythene will come out of the ground. It won't be travelling over the ground, it'll come out here, it'll go straight around your door. Now because this is a straight-sided tunnel, really straight-sided, the trench, actually Ryan, you might have got it out there, the trench has to be completely in line with this, even to the extent, like it has to be right up against the ground peg, but then even to the extent that if you dig the trench and a bit comes away behind this, I put a few sods in there just to fill up the gap. What will happen is if you don't have stuff behind this, the polythene will wrap around this, you know. And then if there's anywhere where the trench has fallen away, they say there's a big hole there, just put a bit up, stick it on. You just want a nice straight line all the way along. Because the polythene will come straight up, straight out. If it comes up from here, it'll be flapping in the wind. Now a trench about 1 foot wide and 1 foot deep is normally grand. I dug this with a machine, and I was in here a bit far, you know. So I went with a shovel and I cleared all that, so it's a bit wider than normal, but that's grand. You have loads of polythene. Now the next thing is you get your polythene, you put it up on 2 stands, put a bar going through it, and then we're just going to pull it over. You can see I've just a rope gone over the top here. Now if you don't have two stands, you can just put it on something on the ground, a carpet or something like that, and just it can roll on the ground, you know, it won't do it any harm. Now if there's mud on the ground, just put something to protect it. Keep it away from the mud. You can see there's bits of mud going on that there, it won't do it any harm, but we'll have to clean them off. So the next step now is just I'm going to pull this as it hits the bar. If it's getting stuck there, just push it up with something blunt. We'll pull it right down the far side. You should have about a foot on either end here. The reason being, you'll see that now in the next part of the video, is we're going to put soil there to help stretch it. So if you ever get polythene from us, you'll always have a foot there extra. You know, we always get that little bit extra, so you can tighten it in cold weather. Like you're not actually cutting around the door and all the heat's coming out. Like what we're going to do here now, we're going to put a heater in here now as well. That's another thing I should say. It's winter time now, so we're going to put a heater in here, a super sir or paraffin heater. Just something that the heat has to be around 20 odd degrees in there, so you could walk around the t-shirt, you know. Like the super sir will do it in about 20 minutes. If the sun comes out, even the sun will usually do it, even unless it's a really cold winter, you know. But if it's any bit cold, you're better off to have some of the heater in there, you know. Now, I'm not going to videotape all parts of this. There's another video on the polythene page, like where you'll see this being pulled over. Next bit of the video, you're just going to see this pulled over. The heater will be ready inside to be turned on. So you can watch the other video as well. It's only a few minutes long as well. You can combine the two if there's any bit you're worried about, you know. I'm just going to pull this over now, pull it down the far side. I'm going to open it out, and then we're going to start stretching it, you know. Alright, let's go. Over there now, one thing I forgot to mention is just a handy little tip. You can see here where the two lines are, where it joins. Just mark the centre, you know. And that way when you open it up, you know where the centre is. The centre, this will go in the centre of the door, like, you know, if your door is central. I'm just going to pull this down both sides now. Again, just go to the other video, have a look. It's no harm to have a look at both of them. And we're going to start tightening it then. So in order to open it out, you just get one side lifted up and over, and the other side lifted up and over, and then just pull it left or right to centre it. You'll see it on the other video if you need to watch it. Now I put soil at the doorway on the far side, and I put it here. Put enough that I can just barely lift. So what we want to do is, the heater's on it, so we want to stretch the polythene end to end. So what I do next, I lift this guy up. I lift him up, just enough about a few inches, and then force this guy down. Put soil on him, go to the other end, do the same thing, you know, and that pins it down then. Now, here we are. You see on the other side here now. Lift it up, force it down. Don't be afraid if your boot is going to go through it, because this is by the door anyway, you know. Okay, that's it. I'll put loads of soil here again, just as I take my weight off. The soil will keep it pinned down. Now the reason I'm doing the video for the polythene on these tunnels is because of the unusual shape, you know. So I need to pull the plastic. I've done it already at the doors. I need to pull the plastic over the shoulder. You can see where I need to pull it from here in order to do that. You know, you can see it's going tight there now. Now you need to put soil on the gable ends. You know, I put soil already there. You can see here now. That's my angle that I'm achieving. So I'm just coming in a bit in here like this. I'm keeping that pinned up there. See that looks good there. So I'm just going to put enough soil here that I can barely lift again, and I'm going to do that in each corner. I've already done the two ends, so I'm going to do this one, and then I'll show you the next part then. So you can see this is it's not straight down, it's kind of coming in here at an angle like this. So I put soil on the four gable ends, just enough that I can barely lift. I'm actually a bit light here, so just barely lift it. Now the next thing now is, because I have something to pull against on the far end, I'm going to lift this stand on it, force it down. Just remember, it's after being heated, so it's very soft. If your boot goes through it, it's under the ground anyway. It's very rarely could happen, but it's below ground anyway, so don't worry about it. Put as much pressure as you can. So I'm going to lift this stand on it, force it down, and then put a load of soil on it to replace my weight. And then I'm going to do that on the 4 sections of 1, 2, 3, 4, and that pulls the whole tunnel straight along the top like that, you know. So let's see. Lift it up, force down. No! You put more soil onto it before you take your weight away, you know, that's the important thing. Now, so we pinned it down at the 4 gable ends now, we pinned down its doors. The next thing is come to where each hoop is. And you just put enough soil there, you don't need to force it down at the moment. Just put enough soil there that you can barely lift. So however many hoops you have, do it on each side, just enough that you can barely lift. On this side and on the other side. That's the same principle then. Once we have enough here and enough there, we'll be able to lift and stand on this, and that's how we tighten it over the top. Now you can see here it's a bit loose there. We just have soil and all these, just enough that you can barely lift. You need to pull them one way or the other just to get the salt flat here, do. You can go this way small, but that's great. Now the next step before you actually put more weight on them and tighten them is you come to the corners and you want to go out here at a 45-degree angle. So you want to go, pull it tight here, but you want to go out here. So you need to go out like that, and then you need to put enough soil here. Then you see what I've done there now, pull that completely straight. Put enough soil here that you can barely lift. You do that in the 4 corners, and then we go back tightening these, and we're going to actually lift these, stand on them. I won't show you that part, that's the next bit. So we'll do this with the 4 corners, out 45-degree angle soil. Then we're going to lift these, push them down, put soil on them, those 4, and then we're going to come back and do the same with this. So we're back here now again, and after doing the 4 corners, 45-degree angles out of the way, we're back here at our foundation posts, our ground pegs. We have enough soil in there that I can just barely lift, and I have enough soil on the other side, so I actually have something to pull against now. So just lift this up and force it down and more soil on it. Same process. Now, the polythene is warm, so it will stretch away. Sometimes it's a bit cooler down here. Keep your foot in about an inch, you know, an inch and a half. Sometimes your boot can go through the polythene. If it does, you're under the. If the polythene is cold, it doesn't happen in the summer. If it does, you're under the level of the soil anyway, so it doesn't matter. You're going to be closing in. Your boot goes through it. All that means is that you couldn't have done anything better than that, like. But if you keep in about an inch and a half, usually doesn't, very rarely happens. If it does, it's not the end of the world. So I have my weight on that, I have it pinned down. I'm going to put a load more soil on that. Then I'm going to do the same with the other foundation ground pegs, and that'll pin it down over the top. And then I'm going to show you, then I'm going to do the corners, then something similar. So we've tightened all them, you can see them, they're pinned down straight. I'm coming to this corner here now again. We wanted to go out and away, so pull it this way, you know, just take all them wrinkles out there. Pull it this way, and then ideally, it's really a 2-person job. One person is going to that point where I pulled it, lift there, and the other person is going to lift here, and we're just going to force it down again. So now you can see here we've nearly got those wrinkles out. We've lifted and we pulled. Now as I put my weight here, those wrinkles should come out. Now to see all this stuff that's gathered here, if it doesn't gather here, it's going to gather around the door. It's not a hood, you know, so expect a load of polythene to gather in the corner. That's no harm, because when it's in a big lump it won't be flapping in the wind and it'll never get damaged. So I'm going to stand on that, and then I'm going to force all this big lump of polythene right into the corner, and then I'm going to put a load of soil on top of that. So you see now I'm going down on this and that's coming out. See, and then I put a bit more soil here, and then I'm going to stand on this and force it in. Actually, now I'm going to force all this in now, and this is, you can expect this to happen. Just worry about this part. I think it's wrong, but it's not. No. So I have a big lump of polythene here in the corner. When the more you have here, the less you gather around the door. I have all that pulled straight. Put a load of soil here now, and that's walk away from this part. Repeat that in every corner then. Now you can see there she's perfectly tight along the top. She's pinned down. Savage pressure on those bars there now. It's absolutely pinned on. There's a bit slack here. But the way to take this out is you just get the polythene with your boot and bring it right into this side of the trench, you know. And then as you feel like she's going to put a bit of pressure on it, so you put your soil in, stand on it. That's going to force it into the line of your trench, and it's going to be tight by the time you get in there, you know. I'll just start it off there for now, and you can see. You can see it's starting to tighten already there now. And then as you put in more, stand on it, it'll force it all down. That's it. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a bit of a V here, and it's on about a foot. Head over to the corner of the door and go for an inch, and across to about a 45-degree angle again. Head up towards the door, go for an inch. This is your head of the door. It's the same width as the, or this is the timber you're going to wrap the door, and it's the same width as the head. So you just get it, even it up. You want it to go about an inch above that, and then you pull it down a little bit, you know. That's kind of the same thing again, a gradual process. You get the first pull, and then you go and do another bit. I don't have enough on that now, so I just come down a bit. It's exactly right. I want to just get a bit of a pull on it. No, he's too far. I'll get it right. That's pretty good. Let's get a screw in each corner now. You just drive them flush. You can just even leave them a little bit proud, you know. Now, the process is simple. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And we'll do that now, and then we'll come back to this side. But we've done the same on the other side, so we come back here then. It's just to get a little bit more pressure on it. Even down till he's flush with this. And then drive him home. Same on this side. Okay, might need a hand on this. I can kill the video there now and just come over. So we got him down there, he's flush. Then put another couple of screws in. You gotta think about when there's a hurricane, you know. I just want to make sure these things can't pull out. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side now. This is rock tight there. When I pull it on the other side, it's going to need to be even just as tight idle. I'm going to need it to the side here first. And then the gaps, so you can just cut around that. You'll need it for filling in on the sides the cable in here, you know. Now just bring this up. Now next, you know, we're going to pull these across. Turn our batten here and tighten it. I'll just show you how to do that now. Okay, now we'll just pull all the polythene. We're kind of pulling it into this corner. By the time we get down here, we should be pulling straight across, and this should all be more or less level. This should be flat, like. So I'll just show you there now. There's going to be wrinkles, it's just the way it is. So pull on it. Get the first one in there. Trying, like I was saying, trying to pull everything up around and across here. Next one then. Next screw. And so on all the way down. By the time you get here, and you pull it straight across. By now, the last of the wrinkle is nearly there. Right, so the reason we dug our trench in there was because we want to come straight in here now, and the polythene will come straight out of the ground. Just come to about the end of the door there. So this will come in around there. Come in there anyway, I'll just show you. What we're going to do then, we're going to get this timber here. I have about 6 or 7 nails in it already. We're going to put that here. Pull this pipe, screw him on. The reason, like that will be tight. The reason being is that if the polythene ever came loose here, it shouldn't, but if it ever did, you just have to release a few of these screws, take this off, and then you can just take a few screws off. You have something to pull, you know. Because if you just cut them there, you won't be able to tighten it at any stage. It should never happen. But it's a good finish as well. Then you just cut off the excess, you know. Now you can see the finish on the inside of the doors. I just have a batten here, and I just cut this away. It's just nice and tidy. And the reason I made this video, like I've done other videos showing you how to do the polythene, I just did this one specifically because this tunnel is so straight. Now you can see way with the straight edge. You just push all that in there now. Sorry, you just push all that in there now. They're all up around the way. I need to tighten it even more, so you can see along there. Just push the soil in the sides, and then you have a nice clean finish. Same with these corners here. You fill out the soil there, but any little gap, then you can just push this back out and seal it up. And so I suppose the main thing was, because the sides being so straight, the difference we had to make was that here at this point, that you could see when we were tightening it, you just had to come in slightly at an angle and down. And then the fact that you do get so much stuff gathering here, that's to be expected, you know. You can see it there, you can see it on the side here then as well. And no, I just did, this was a kind of a quick video there showing you tightening the polythene. There's another video on the polythene page, and it's a lot more detailed. Basically the same. I just didn't want to be showing. So if you're not sure of anything that you've seen on this video, just go to that video. Exact same process. I just show you the actual soil going in and the battens being tightened, and I just show it. I just show more on the other video, you know. Now you can see the pressure here. I can't even get my hand in behind that. No. If you have the tunnel done like this, and the polythene as tight as this, then it'll stand up to every storm. You know, we've had a lot of hurricanes there since 2012, and all our tunnels have stood up to them. So in some cases, people have even lost the roof of their house, and the tunnel has still been there. You know, so. You can see yourself there how strong the polythene is, and the bars they're heavy bars, they weigh 2 kilos per metre, like they're solid, you know. So this is not going anywhere, like. So once you have it up, you have it for a lifetime. You have to replace the polythene about every 15 years, you know. It's that good. If it's on tight, it'll just stay as it is. Now if it's flapping in the wind, it'll break on a seam after about a year or a year and a half, you know. Imagine it's as if you just caught a piece of plastic and you kept squashing it in your hand. Eventually it's going to break. But if it's as tight as this here, that's it. You don't need to worry about it, like, for about 15 years, I'd say.